Welcome back to the Young Turks. Michael Shore in today. J.R. Jackson's producing the show. Jesus Godoy, celebrating his 25th year with the Young Turks, is directing today.
That's right.
What's
I got
that?
seniority over you. You know that. So.
No, I was here before you. I was doing it in Cenk's living room. So, I mean,
Well, I was here before you.
you were here. You were where before me?
Well, I was at the Young Turks at Cenk's living room too.
Were you?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I was.
I don't remember you there.
Yeah, I remember the neighbors having sex.
Yeah, there were the neighbors having sex, but anyway, it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And listen, memories fade, but I don't remember Jesus that early. In any case, the president. Well, let's go back to the president. The president is towing a fine line right now, as he has to do, on the subject of gay marriage. When it comes to sort of civil rights issues, I sort of have no. I don't know. There's no gray area for me. I mean, I think that marriage should be legal. I think it's a clear issue. Marriage should be legal for. Marriage should be illegal, actually, but marriage should be legal for gays and lesbians, as legal as it is for heterosexual couples. And I think that the president believes that too, but he doesn't say that he does, and that's because he's the president, and at times it's because he's running for the presidency. So I give him a very reluctant pass on that. He went to New York yesterday for a LGBT, and that's a whole other issue because I think it should just start at LG and that BT should be separated. I think they have rights, and I think they should have all the same rights, but I think that it minimizes or it sort of challenges the LG part because everybody thinks when you get down to the B and T, it sounds a little crazy, but it's not. They're all people, and everybody should have the exact same rights. But anyway, he was at a fundraiser in New York to raise a lot of money. And of course, he was asked about gay marriage, not only because that is the prime issue the Human Rights Campaign is about. It's about what the LGBT community is all about right now. It is the national issue, but it is also a local issue in New York because New York is trying to become the fifth state, along with the District of Columbia, to legalize gay marriage. They are close to it, but it is a very, very tenuous vote that's going to happen in the Republican-controlled state Senate there. Governor Andrew Cuomo has indicated that he is in favor of it, and he is really being a leader on this in that state. And listen, I mean, as with every civil rights issue, as with every issue that affects the sort of the decency of people, one day gay marriage will be legal in all 50 states. I'm sorry to tell you people in Kansas and Wyoming right now, there will be gay marriage legal in this country. It is an issue that right now is sort of a hot button issue, but eventually, as King said, and as we've repeated, and as so many people have repeated, and I will get incorrectly, the arc of progress is long, but it bends towards righteousness. And that's what's going to happen here. I think that this will pass. But he does have a fine line to walk, and they're letting him walk that fine line. There were people in the crowd saying, what about marriage? What about marriage? And he was alluding to it. He was alluding to how he supports civil unions. But what he can do now is say that he has been a strong president on gay rights issues. And whereas at the beginning of his presidency, they wanted immediate results, and they actually criticized him heavily for not giving them immediate results. He sort of said with a wink and a nod, be patient, it's going to get better. And it did. I mean, he refused to defend the Defense of Marriage Act in the Supreme Court, in the federal court system at all. He also worked to overturn Don't Ask, Don't Tell in the military. He extended benefits, then re-extended benefits to the partners of gays and lesbians in federal government. So this has been a president who has certainly kicked the ball forward as far as gay rights.
Can I ask, Mike?
Yeah.
I heard you said you reluctantly give him the pass on being kind of maybe not wishy-washy on it, but just at least in his rhetoric.
Yeah.
Not completely coming out for it. Does it actually benefit him, and why give him that much of a pass? Like, would it really take him down in the election?
I mean, that's a good question. Do I give him a pass? I give him a pass because he's the president. I give him the pass because I feel, and this is me, I feel like in my heart that I know that he's in favor of gay marriage. But he is the president, and he's running for office. And if it is something that will damage his ability to win re-election in some way, shape, or form, and that's the crux of your question, because maybe it doesn't. Maybe I'm overestimating it, and people are overestimating it. If he comes out and says he's in favor of gay marriage, is that going to hurt him across the board? I don't know. Is it going to hurt him any more than civil unions? I think the people that think that he's in favor of civil unions, or know that he's in favor of civil unions, but has on record as saying he's not in favor of gay marriage, they look at that quizzically, because they're not generally in favor of civil unions either. And that's a generalization, but it's, you know, it's pretty fair, I think, to use that. So my tendency is to not to want to give him a pass. But the reason I give him a pass is because I really think that it's important that he be reelected so that he can do the things for the people that are underrepresented, like the gay and lesbian community, once he is president. It's worth preserving his presidency to do that. And because he has shown that he is interested in the rights of gay people. He's going to the LGBT fundraiser. Many presidents would not do that. Many congressmen, many politicians would not even go to it. He is doing it. I think that he is saying that it's an evolutionary process. And civil rights has always been an evolutionary process. For the people whose rights are not there, they want it to be immediately. They don't understand why it has to be evolutionary. And I totally empathize. I mean, it's really an unbelievable thing. But it is evolutionary because you have to convince a lot of people. And I think also in New York, as you see a state like New York get closer to legalizing gay marriage, not that New York is a Republican state or a conservative state, but it's a big enough state that represents a lot of people. I mean, it's the third largest state. I think it's really important that we see what happens in the state of New York, become contagious in America. And through an Obama presidency, that is the best place for it to happen. Through an Obama administration, through Obama courts. If we're going to change America, we need to preserve presidents like Barack Obama and their presidencies in order to do that. So that's why I give him a little bit of a pass. It's a reluctant pass, but I really do believe that Barack Obama thinks that gays and lesbians should be allowed to marry. I think because he's president, he can't come out and say it right away. But I do think that his record speaks for itself. And as you look at New York, I mean, this is a state that could really, do something pretty big for gay rights, and it's the right state. It's a state where the Stonewall protests happened. It's a state that is steeped in American gay history and gay cultural history, and I think it would be appropriate now for them to have the right to marry in that state. And as people see, a huge population state like New York allow gay marriage, I think that can only help. But again, I don't think it would help if the president loses, because I think these sorts of progressive moves by states and state governments are not going to happen as much. And Andrew Cuomo taking the lead here it's a showing of how progressive politics changes. How these sorts of things need to be carried, these batons need to be carried forward by new generations of thinkers. And he is the son, a Cuomo, the son of Mario Cuomo, who was the governor of New York. And this kind of an issue never crossed his table, really. And if it had, I don't know what he would have done. Back then, probably not very much. But now Andrew Cuomo is the governor, and he's making this, against taking this into a Republican state Senate in New York. It's a totally different atmosphere than has generally existed in Albany. And I think because of that, if he gets this through and this happens, it's going to make him, a centerpiece political figure in America, not just because of his last name, but because of what he's doing in his state against another, against a state house that is with the other party right now. So I think, I think it's an important thing. But I think the president going in there is showing, he's saying, be patient. We're going to get this done. I'm with you. Right now it's civil unions. Right now I'm in favor of the benefits. Right now I don't want don't ask, don't tell. I want it to be repealed. And just give me a little while. And some will give him a little while. And some, there were people saying, what about marriage? What about marriage? What about marriage? But I think that community knows that re-electing Barack Obama is the best thing for them. So I think that's why they're going to be patient on some of these issues. And apparently these issues do take patience. Brown versus Board of Education was passed in 57, I want to say, or 55, and it took a while before they were integrating schools in Little Rock. So it's those sorts of challenges and federal laws and the kinds of civil rights progress that happen they take time, and the president realizes that. And fortunately, he has what seems now, because he is acquiesced on some other issues, it seems now that he's got their patience as well, which is most important for him. And after last night, he's got their money too. Michael Schur, Young Turks, will be back with the War Powers Act.
And we're back. My name is Tina Dupuis, and I'm filling in for Anna today, and with me is Michael Schur. And at the top, we have the first world rap.
Yeah, I took a look at this when you sent it, Tina. It's you think about all the problems in the world, and you spend so much time as a lousy progressive thinking about other people's problems, when in fact we have our own problems here in America.
We do. So let's see how hard it is out there to be a pimp.
People of the first world, yeah.
We got these first world problems.
My fridge is so full I'd have to reach way back, and my sports car doesn't even have an audio jack. My laptop's battery is low, but the charger's over there. I can never find the right lid for my Tupperware. I woke up at noon. Do I eat breakfast or lunch? I don't like organic milk, and we don't have fruit punch. My neighbors put a password on their high-speed Wi-Fi, and the freezer makes my ice cream hard to scoop. Why try? My hot water ran out in the shower, which sucks because I was only in there for half hour. The other side of my pillow is not much cooler. There's no measure for inches or feet on this ruler. Something just beeped and I don't know what it was. Was it my Roomba, convection oven, or just Google Buzz? There's some cereal left, but not enough to make a bowl. I hate replacing batteries on my Wii remote control. People keep texting me when I'm playing Tiny Wings. My cleaning lady's vacuuming, I can't hear anything. I didn't read Shake Well, now I feel like I missed out. And when I opened my birthday card, no money fell out. I meant to turn on the light, but it was the disposal. My Vespa's in the shop, now how can I be mobile? Netflix is suggesting things I've already seen, and my suit is too fancy for the washing machine. There's a pebble in my shoe, I have to stop and shake it. I have to add water to this cupcake mix, then bake it. My pillow's too soft, and I have too many sheets. And what the heck do I do with all these Starbucks receipts? Poor guy. My walk-in closet's door is kinda hard to close, and my private school teacher calls my rap songs prose. My fridge doesn't have a touchscreen, first world issue. Killed a spider with $1 cause I didn't have a tissue.
We got these first world problems.
Do you think this is still accurate, though? Do you think this is still an accurate portrayal of how it is to live in the first world?
Well, I mean, in a sort of wealthy first world. I mean, the first world's pretty big, but I think that the pebble in the shoe affects everyone. So I think that he's really touched on something that is kind of the joining gripe that we all have.
Because I look at that and I go, it seems like something that's like it's antiquated. It seems like something that in 2006 would be, something that you would watch and go, oh, that's hilarious. But I think that now at least in the first world, where there are people who are not, people are struggling.
But it also I still think in 2006, this person obviously they're making fun of how cush they've got it, and that person seemed to have had a cush in 2006 too. I'm guessing, and I also think that like when you see, he's really poking fun at his own life, I think as well, which is kind of cool.
But it almost reminds me of something that someone in Russia would make to make fun of Americans. Yeah.
Right.
It's. That someone from the third world would basically be calling us a bunch of sissies.
Right, now also Russia would be upset that they were considered the third world.
Well,
but yeah, no, I don't know. I think it was pretty funny. And I think it was like he was sort of looking at all the, everything that's going on in his life and how, oh my God, I can't believe. Another one thing I liked was that his battery's running low and his charger's all the way over there.
Right.
That's fantastic.
Right.
It's like, oh, I'm not going to, do I really want it to be charged or not?
Right.
Yeah. I remember like when you would sit, like when I couldn't find the remote, I would lose the remote and I would just watch whatever channel was on all the time because I was too lazy to go up and get the remote control. And then I built out a hockey stick in my room because my remote broke and I had illegal cable. Okay, and so what I did was I taped a pencil to the end of my hockey stick and I would sit on my couch. And the box, at that time there was a box that you had to like push down on the button. So I had it so that I had my hockey stick and I could just go like this and change the channels. So I'd sort of jury-rigged this thing. It was fantastic. People used to come to my house, take pictures of me with my hockey stick, video it. It was great.
You should really make a rap song about that.
Well, I did, but it's like you said, 2006. Such a long time ago.
But just for the record, I think it's hilarious. I thought it was a hilarious bit. And,
it was a great bit.
But I don't know whether it's like I almost felt watching it like there was like nostalgia that I should be experiencing because I just there's definitely this is two Americas.
Right.
This is not.
Well, it is 2 Americas, but I think this is like 8 Americas because I don't think this America.
You think
really,
there's different, like the levels of hell?
He had like 4 different
Well,
coffee
how many-
mates.
like-
They had the big coffee mates 4 in the door of the fridge. Nobody in the 2 Americas has 4 different coffee mates. All the flavors, the hazelnut, the vanilla, the original. No way.
It's only the first one.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, so here we have our next story is about CNN really bringing it to the, let's say, the national discourse
Right.
about what's going on with the economy and how people are feeling. CNN has had a real problem having their thumb on the pulse of the nation, so they've brought in the experts. Let's watch this.
Let's see about what's going to happen. USA.
Frank Andrews uses tarot cards. Karen Thorne, a crystal ball.
When I look at the crystal ball, I get symbols.
And Serena Stanley, a money pot.
It brings anyone who holds it prosperity.
3 tools they say bring comfort and clarity to their clients during this scary time for the global economy. As the experts debate and uncertainty remains, there's only one profession that claims to be able to predict into the future. You can find them all over New York City. Psychics. Our first stop, Karen Thorne.
He has one of the best charts.
Reading the astrological signs of Fed Chairman Ben Bernanke, she sees hope for the global markets, even as key Fed economic stimulus ends.
His moon sign, which is the person's other side, is Scorpio.
So the markets may not fall at the end of June when things are...
No, because I see him having success primarily in July, August, and September. And October. In October, he's really, really happy. I don't think he would be, right, if things were going terribly.
This says new people.
Using cards he's used to tell the fortunes of stars like Princess Grace and John Lennon, Andrews also sees hope for the U.S. economy.
Actually, it's not bad. Promising outlook, profitable changes. So come maybe later in September, October.
Because we've got an August deadline for the debt ceiling to be raised, and if they are able to do that, then the United States sort of has a better path moving forward.
Well, it does look like it will improve.
As for Greece,
my feeling is that all of Europe is going to see what Greece is seeing. Other countries are going to see the same thing. You watch.
For Serena Stanley,
Put your hands on the cards. Feel it. And then gravitate to the card that you think that's going to answer that question.
is there going to be job creation enough to change the jobless number, or the unemployment number, I should say, and that people will once again feel confident and have money in their pockets?
Pull out a card. It's volatile. This is a Four of Cups card. So it's running all on emotions. And the emotions of people are angry.
Skeptics may scoff, but like
I am seeing into the future, and I am seeing that CNN will continue to suck.
I'm seeing Ben Bernanke's moon side. I like how they said that. I like how they said his moon side is showing. That's his back. What? Huh? His other side is his moon side? And then, I mean, if there's one question you want to ask a psychic, it's about job creation. I mean, this is silly. And also, these psychics, if they were right, wouldn't
Where were they?
Yeah, well, where were they? Why are they still doing this? Why are they? Why doesn't he get a new deck of cards if he knew it was going to look like that at this point?
Well, I was going to say some of those houses looked really nice.
Well,
I mean, the psychics were clearly doing something right, but it's like, I mean, if you were like,
nice.
if these people should have said, sell now in 2006,
right?
If they were really psychic, like, now it's just, but I mean, just to use this as as a journalistic, tool, let's say, to talk to psychics, to be able to say that people in the country are angry. Have they not been watching CNN?
Yeah. Well, no, because nobody has been. But no, truthfully, I think this is. I mean, it's a feature story. It's a silly story, and it's actually probably I think it's probably coming off of the fact that nobody seems to know what's going to happen with the economy. Every expert, you're getting conflicting reports from every sort of so-called expert in the economy. Nobody comes up with an answer. So why not try a?
So you're saying that it has just as much credibility as the Economist?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say it has just as much credibility, but it's certainly a fun feature to say, well, if these people don't know, maybe these people do.
See, I think that it's just to give these people credibility, to put them on television, that they might have a better clue than someone else. I
They
just
have 24
it makes me
hours.
want to. But they could do better things with their 24 hours. It's just like there could be, especially in an economic story.
Right.
There's so many things that like a lot of people are still not sure of in the economy. We could be talking about a myriad of other things besides what someone with a deck of cards and a crystal ball, thinks that people might be angry.
I think CNN would argue that they do, and I think that CNN would argue that they have people like Lawrence Summers come on and bore you to death about what the leading economic indicators are. But when let's have a little fun with it, because we have to laugh. I mean, I sort of see it. I'm not angry about the fact that they did this story. I'm angry that people believe psychics and now everybody's going to think, oh, in October the market's going to be great because Ben Bernanke's moon side's going to look good,
Yeah, I just, it's, it's a parlor trick. I mean, it's like, why don't you have, it's like, why give this validity? I disagree. I just think that, if we're going to talk about real news and things that will, inform people, because there is a 24-hour news hole, then, why not do something that is, it can be fun and serious. It doesn't have to be, this is, blow it away fluff.
Right, but I don't think they're also taking it any more seriously than, it doesn't sound like
There's lots of psychics in New York. Well, yeah, dude, there's lots of psychics everywhere.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So CNN is kind of poking fun at it at the same time. I mean,
I say it was serious, and a serious attempt at journalism.
They should talk more about fake boobs.
Yeah, fake boobs. Yeah. As I was trying to find stories for the second hour today, I was upset that there wasn't anything topical that had to do with porn, because that's normally what we talk about in the second hour when I'm filling in. So I did the next best thing, and fake boobs are really, really safe, except for not really.
Except that they're not.
But kind of, sort of not.
They're mostly safe. Yeah.
So do you?
In a new report, the Food and Drug Administration said the risks were well enough understood that prospective patients could make informed decisions. There's a small increased risk of the disease lymphoma, just a little disease that you might get from fake breasts. It found as many as 1 in 5 breast augmentation patients had the implants removed within 10 years, and the U.S. approved the implants in 2006 after a long absence from the market. These are silicone implants. You'll remember they were less popular than the saline, right?
They're more popular. It's the other way around, because
they look better, but
these feel better.
Yeah, they
I
feel
believe.
better.
I'm not exactly a connoisseur, but I think that the reason why people want these is because they're the tactile. I have to do this for the entire segment,
that's fine.
Don't I? Okay.
No, you can,
I can't really help myself.
When you do a boob segment, you do this. JR, silicone or saline?
Honestly, I've had no experience with either one.
Really?
I always get confused as which one is more natural or looks this way and all that stuff. I have no idea.
The experience I've had with any of them, none of them seem natural. I mean, I don't know if they're silicone or saline.
I'm pretty sure the point is not to be natural.
Right, exactly.
I mean,
well,
the whole.
Well, although I think that the argument is that you want them to look as natural as they can while still being fake. I mean, unless you're in the industry.
Right, unless you have.
No, I thought people do try to make them natural, because then that's at least is the shot at them. Oh, they look so fake. Look at that. They look so fake.
That's what you can.
And then if they look natural, they go, oh man, are those? I can't tell, man. They look so natural, because then that's a good thing.
But when you're actually,
that's what people say.
Is that what people say?
When you're with them,
we're both going to do this the entire segment.
When you're with them, you don't know. You don't think saline or
I think you might
silicone.
I think like if you're really if you're really good, you could go these are old school, new school.
Right, I guess so. You don't take the time.
But the thing there's a risk with this. I mean, it's when they're talking about complications including rupture, wrinkling, asymmetry, scarring, pain, and infection, and that for every 5 women who get this, 1 is going to have them taken out within 10 years. I mean, that's not a benevolent procedure.
Why does the FDA approve this? If the U.S. approved the implants after the long absence, and there's a little slight risk of lymphoma.
I like how you say that, because I agree with that, because it makes lymphoma sound like it's acne or something.
Right, exactly.
It's like it's a rash.
You may rash. Right. No, that's not saying that. Right. It's saying lymphoma, which is a
really deadly cancer.
Yes, yeah. Well, so check your implants. Make sure you're getting the right implants, and I don't know. They always look fake.
Yeah, no, I mean, because they always, but I think it's you know, it's almost like a drag queen. A drag queen doesn't look like a woman. A drag queen looks like
a man who looks like
an
a woman.
idea of what a woman should look like, but they're not women. They're an illusionist, and that's how I feel about fake boobs. It's like they're not really feminine. They're like the kind of illusion of women, like somebody's idea of what boobs are.
Right.
I mean,
and to some, they give boobs to people who didn't have them, which, you know, important.
right, which
also.
is, I mean, you could say that
Self-esteem
all
issues
right,
and-
that you know, cleft palates are in and are a reason that you know there was an argument recently against taxing plastic surgery for just that reason. Everyone should be able to do whatever they want to their face or their body and knock themselves out. But I just that like the whole idea that the way that U.S. regulators say they're relatively safe.
Yeah.
To me, 1 in 5 is not relatively safe.
It's not
I mean,
the
that's
stamp of approval
yeah,
you're
right.
looking for.
1 in 5 seems like that's very frequently there are a lot of really horrible complications, like lymphoma.
Yeah.
With getting these particular breast implants when the other ones that don't feel as real.
But when you think about it, like if you went to the butcher or you opened your faucet and had water, and the butcher there was a stamp on the meat that said this meat is guaranteed to be relatively safe, you would not eat that meat. If you drank water that said this water is guaranteed to be relatively safe, but if it's about looking good at the beach, we'll suffer the consequences.
That's a really good point. Well, because it's elective.
Right.
That's a very good point, and we tend to it's kind of framed differently when it's
framed.
Framed.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 things.
Yes, exactly.
1, 2.
Sometimes.
1, 2.
Yeah, sometimes. When's the last time anybody went to the butcher? But besides that, leave it to Beaver.
I'm older.
And
it's in the first world.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, exactly.
With all the different kinds of creamers. I'm sorry.
And also, maybe it's what, as we talked about earlier, you do when they're right in front of you. I feel like maybe people are so rough on them, and some leak, some don't. I wonder if there's like a wear and tear warranty type of thing. Like there's like somebody drives their car in the potholes, and you're gonna get some alignment issues. You're gonna have to replace your tires more. If you hit the brakes late, you're gonna have to replace your brakes
3
more.
years or 36,000 miles.
Yeah. Do these things, like if you really are like rough on them, then maybe they leak.
So you think that there should be further studies of the one fifth of women who have problems and see if they're doing too much jogging?
Maybe, or
it's
someone
like
else is handling
them.
them
You buy
rough.
the iPhone, and you buy that little insurance thing. You pay that $5 a month in case it breaks, and you treat it poorly, you get another one. Well,
So JR thinks there needs to be more studying of fake boobs and how people are using them. And the wearing pattern on
I mean, some leak, some don't. Why? Everybody does things different with different things that they own now, so I wonder if that affects it. But no, so if someone's really careful and just doesn't really do much, maybe they last.
ask your butcher. All right, we'll take a little break. We'll come back with more fabulous stories for you in just a moment.
You have to. Boobs.
Yeah.
We're
We'll
done.
be right back.
We're done.